It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. Tires screech first, then silence, the kind that swallows sound whole. A truck driver's hands are locked at 10 and 2, his eyes already on the mirror, his foot already on the brake before the kid even steps off the curb. He did everything right, every single thing, and the kid still doesn't make it. For years, we've been sold a brutal myth. If something bad happens, somebody screwed up. Somewhere, a decision was made, and a bad one. Check the mirrors enough times, plan hard enough, optimize every move, and tragedy stays away. That's the deal we were promised. But that man standing on the side of the road, staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else, he didn't break the deal. The deal was always fake. So if doing everything right doesn't protect you, what actually separates a good person from a bad one? Here's the part of the story you didn't get yet. There's a second driver, same town, same night, maybe 20 minutes earlier. This one's running a yellow that's basically red, eyes on his phone a second too long, not checking his mirror because, let's be real, he never really does. He blows through a residential street at the wrong speed, and nothing happens. No kid runs out. No phone call to make at 2 a.m. He gets home, eats a sandwich, goes to bed. Same recklessness, same risk. Different night, different luck, zero consequence. A philosopher named Bernard Williams wrote about exactly this back in the 1970s. He called it moral luck, and his point was brutal in its simplicity. How much you're judged for an action often depends on stuff that has nothing to do with the action itself. It depends on what happens next, and what happens next isn't fully yours to write. Williams gave the careful driver a different name for what he feels. Not guilt. Guilt is for when you actually did something wrong. He called it agent regret. It's the specific, nauseating ache of being the person standing at the center of a disaster you didn't choose and couldn't have stopped. It doesn't mean you're guilty, it means you're human and you were there. This isn't new information, by the way. We've been telling ourselves this story for thousands of years and ignoring the moral of it. Take Oedipus. Guy hears a prophecy that he'll kill his father and marry his mother. So he does the responsible thing. Leaves home, builds a new life far away, makes every careful decision he can to dodge the outcome. And the story still finds him. Every choice he makes to escape his fate is the exact choice that drives him toward it. For centuries, audiences walked away thinking the lesson was, you can't escape fate. Screw that reading. The real lesson is simpler and a lot more useful. Oedipus wasn't a bad man. He was a careful one, working with the information he had, in a world that owed him nothing. Judge him by his effort instead of his ending, and the whole story changes shape. That's the filter we've been missing. We grade ourselves on outcomes, the one variable we never fully control, instead of on the decision-making itself, which is the only part that was ever actually ours. So let's make this real, not philosophy class real. Actually real. Jonathan Shea spent years treating combat veterans, and he kept hitting the same wall. Soldiers who followed every rule, made every careful call under fire, and still ended up carrying scenes in their heads that wrecked them for decades. Shea gave it a name: moral injury. The wound you carry not because you did something monstrous, but because you were forced into a situation where every option was bad. You picked the least bad one, and it still cost something. Here's what mattered in his work, though. The veterans who healed weren't the ones who convinced themselves nothing happened. They were the ones who learned to separate, I made a defensible call in hell, from I am a monster. Same event, two completely different sentences attached to it. That separation, agent regret instead of guilt, was the actual medicine. You don't need a war story for this to apply to you. You've got your own version sitting in a drawer somewhere. A relationship that ended badly despite your best effort. A call at work that blew up through no fault of your own. A kid who got hurt on your watch even though you did everything a good parent does. A psychologist named Kristin Neff built a framework around what happens next. She calls it self-compassion, and it isn't the soft, excuse-everything version people assume. It rests on 3 blunt pillars. Treat yourself the way you'd treat someone you actually love. Remember that suffering through bad luck isn't a personal defect. It's just part of what being a person includes, and stay with the pain instead of either drowning in it or pretending it isn't there. That second piece, what Neff calls common humanity, lands the hardest. The shame you've been carrying alone, convinced it makes you uniquely broken? It's not unique, it's not even rare. It's just unspoken. Name it out loud and it stops being a private flaw. It turns into raw material, something you can work with instead of hide from. Now maybe you're sitting there thinking, fine, but my situation isn't a tragedy. No war, no death, no dramatic story. Does any of this even apply to me? It does. And you don't need to build the lens yourself. Centuries before Williams or Neff, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus was already drawing this exact line, splitting the world into two piles. The stuff inside your control and the stuff outside it. Your effort, your honesty, your preparation, yours. The weather, the other driver, the market, the diagnosis, never yours, no matter how hard you grip the wheel. Epictetus didn't write that for emperors and tragic heroes. He wrote it for ordinary annoyances, a rude neighbor, a late shipment, a bad harvest. The framework was built small on purpose. Run a missed promotion or an awkward text through the exact same filter you'd run a tragedy through. The size of the event doesn't matter. The split between mine and not mine always does. A few centuries later, Albert Camus took that same rigid old idea, a world with zero guaranteed outcomes ruled by forces you can't negotiate with, and did something nobody expected. The ancient Greeks used the myth of Sisyphus, a man condemned to push a boulder up a hill forever, as a punishment story. Pure misery, no escape, no point. Camus kept every detail of the myth and flipped the tone completely. Same boulder, same hill, same eternity. But instead of writing it as a curse, he wrote it as the closest thing to freedom a person gets. Because once you stop needing the boulder to stay at the top, the pushing itself becomes yours again. His essay ends on a line that's outlived him by 80 years. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. He didn't invent a new myth, he just refused to read the old one as a tragedy. That's the whole move, and it's repeatable. Now look at what happens to someone who refuses to make that move. Howard Hughes had the money, the talent, and the means to control almost anything a person can control. And he tried, obsessively, hygiene rituals, isolation, endless precautions against contamination, contracts, betrayal, risk of any kind. He spent his final years barely leaving a room, chasing a level of certainty that doesn't exist for anyone, ever. Two men, both staring down a universe that wouldn't guarantee them anything. One made peace with the boulder, the other tried to weld it to the ground, and disappeared under the weight of trying. That's the actual choice in front of you. Bad things happen either way. The real choice is whether you spend your one life trying to engineer away every possible bad outcome, exhausting, impossible, and ending in a locked room somewhere. Or whether you do the work, stay honest, stay careful, and let go of the part that was never yours to hold. There's a word the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh used for this, interbeing. The idea that you were never a lone operator pulling levers on a private machine called your life. You're one thread in a mess of causes and conditions you didn't choose and can't fully track. Other drivers, other decisions, weather, timing, the mood of a stranger 3 blocks away. Once you actually see that web, the question, why didn't I prevent this single-handedly, stops making sense. You were never the only hand on the wheel. You were never supposed to be. So go back to that driver, hands still on the wheel, still doing everything right, still carrying something heavy he didn't earn through any failure of his own. He's proof of something harder to sit with than any cautionary tale could teach you. You can be careful, prepared, and good, and still get handed a disaster, simply because you exist in a world you were never meant to fully steer. And that's just the bill that comes with being alive at all. The same bill everyone else alive is quietly paying too. So the next time something goes wrong, despite your best effort, skip the part where you call yourself terrible. Try the sentence that's actually true instead. I did the best I could with what I knew in the moment I had it. That's not letting yourself off the hook. That's finally reading the hook correctly.